I own you now. But whose head could I give you to satisfy your fury?
The general will do. Rome has taken everything from me. But I will have my vengeance.
Paul Mescal, lovely to see you again. Welcome
Thanks
to Movies and
much.
Musicals. Fáilte at the Wáile Rís. That was some homecoming you got in the Lighthouse. You looked both overjoyed and slightly overwhelmed. I mean, were you expecting it?
I wasn't expecting the scale of that, and the kind of overjoyed and overwhelmed were like very like interwoven. But it was an overwhelmingly positive experience. Yeah.
This is a cinematic experience. It's the first time for a while I've been to a movie where when the lights went down, I found myself smiling, going,
Yeah,
you know,
great.
this is going to be fun.
Great, and that's
yeah.
films like that are few and far between these days, because I feel like when I watch a Ridley Scott film like that, it's totally his comfort zone. You know, like he's in his wheelhouse, and yeah, I totally relate to that.
It's his
feeling.
thing. I was on air a few weeks ago, and the initial reviews for Gladiator II started to come in, and from LA obviously, and they were positive, and I was reading them out on air, but I had a few moment on your behalf, you know. When has your few moment been? Is it when an audience sees, when the reviews come in? When does that happen for you?
Whatever critics make of this film, you always hope that it's going to be received positively, but this is a film like totally centered around an audience's experience. Like as you said, it's like that feeling in the audience when the lights go down that you suddenly start smiling. There's very few filmmakers that can make that happen. So when we saw a kind of broad response from an audience, that's what it's for. Yeah, yeah. There'll be different junctions for the film in the next few weeks as critics and stuff see it, but I'm fully confident in the film. Like the film that you see is the film that we set out to make entirely. Yeah.
Have you seen it a few times at this stage?
Seen it once.
Once.
Yeah.
How
By myself. I haven't seen it with an audience. Yeah.
And how was the experience seeing it?
I think the first time you see it, you're always kind of just white knuckling it. But I think the opening sequence in the film really just set me at ease with kind of who we had behind the camera looking after the legacy of this film.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, the action sequences are extraordinary, but I would imagine for you as well, those moments where it's you and Denzel, who I know you adore, in a room with Ridley Scott behind the camera, that's a good day at the office, right?
And as you said, I love the fight sequence in it, but I'll remember those moments, like Ridley, Denzel in a room. Never one camera with Ridley, it's always about 5 or 6, but that kind of working with greats like that on such an intimate level was extraordinary.
You've spoken about the famous Zoom call with Ridley. I'm intrigued as to when he spotted you, and it's right back to normal people,
Normal
right?
people, yeah. I don't think he'd watched it initially when it came out. I think he just happened to be watching it around the time that the Gladiator II script had been completed, which is perfect timing. Not because there's remotely any parallels between normal people and Gladiator II, but whatever kind of luck was in the universe at that point, the fact that he saw it at that moment in time and that I happened to have a Roman nose.
It is extraordinary because,
perfect.
I mean, Connell is such a vulnerable character, and you do need some of that in this character in Gladiator too. But he definitely saw something in you, thank goodness.
But he's one of those directors that, like, once he feels an instinct for somebody, and he'll say this himself, he'll go with it, and I think that's he's impulsive in the best sense of the word. Like he doesn't wait. He just gets a feeling in his gut and moves with it.
It is an art, choosing gladiators. They're usually prisoners of war.
I claim this city for the glory of Rome.
Give us an idea of what it's like to be on a Ridley Scott set, because you mentioned all the cameras. He's famous for that. Is that intimidating, or does it let you get on with it?
It feels like theatre because you're not kind of shooting the wide and then punching in or anything like that. You're shooting the wide and the tight coverage and everything. So you're not really thinking about kind of matching each take kind of as its own thing, you know?
Yeah.
So it feels theatrical.
Speaking of theatre, I'm amazed at you in terms of not every actor is equally comfortable on stage and on screen. You have nailed that from the beginning, since Gatsby over to Streetcar and now these movies. I'm wondering though, was it an extra learning curve with this, just the epicness of Gladiator II,
it's a particular style of performance that I haven't done before, like something kind of probably on the more like traditional side, like traditional leading man side, but like I have an appetite to work with all of these filmmakers. I have an appetite to play within different kind of performance styles, and I kind of love them all equally.
Yeah.
I feel as long as I have an opportunity to act, and if I'm getting to work with filmmakers like this, I'll just be a happy camper. Whether that's on stage, whether that's in big epic Ridley Scott films or independent films, it doesn't really bother me.
The mix has been great. I mean, you're always very good about mentioning the Lear where you trained and
Yeah.
getting your big break as Gatsby. You know, I'm thinking actually, Paul, if you were to write your memoir now, I think Paul Mescal, Gatsby to Gladiator.
Gatsby to Gladiator, there's good.
Will we hold on to that
nice
one maybe?
cheese in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, you're only 28. You know, that's only a few chapters in so
Yeah.
far. But there's been a lot of talk about the current crop of Irish actors, and you've worked with many of them, with Saoirse
Pretty much
Ronan on
wor-
Foe.
like
You were Andrew Scott,
Andrew
Saoirse, yeah.
Scott just finished with Jesse.
Jesse on Hamlet.
Yeah.
Have you sought them out, or has that just been the way it's
No, I
happened?
don't. It's just whatever. Like I would actively seek them out. Like if I ever had an opportunity to act with someone and I had my way, it would probably be from that pool of
Yeah.
actors. But no, it just happened the way that it happened. Yeah.
Any idea why you're all so great at the moment and all coming out at the same
I
time?
don't. If I could answer that, I'd be bottling it somewhere
I know.
and keeping it in a cold room. But I don't know what's going on. But whatever it is, it's great.
I always love talking music with you, and firstly with Gladiator II, Hans Zimmer's such an incredible score. Harry Gregson Williams taking over.
Yeah.
We're in comfortable territory, aren't we? There's a
Totally.
Gladiator
Like
sound.
I mean,
Yeah.
when I heard the kind of first track that they've released, I don't know. It's just as a fan of what that first score is, I think it's like really finely balanced in a way that it's like elegant but also satisfying to people who love the first
Yeah.
film, because it does elaborate on what everybody loves about the first score, but also makes it its own for the second film.
Exactly. As I say, you know your music. I can't wait to hear you singing in Merrily We Roll Along.
You'd be waiting a while.
I know I'm going to be waiting a while. You're going to be
Yeah.
filming it over 20 years. I know you can't talk much about it, but you happen to be sitting opposite a major Stephen Sondheim
Oh, great.
fan. So
Great,
I'd
great.
love to know how you feel about Sondheim, about singing his songs.
Absolutely, like, it's an absolute gift to get to go in every couple of years and dig into one of the numbers, because that's fundamentally the way that we're working it. But Richard Linklater has kind of sworn us to secrecy
I'm
on it, because
sure.
he's like, if you start talking about it now,
I
there'll be
know.
no information to talk about in 20 years' time.
But it'll be a fun. When will you next film that?
This December.
December, you're back on that. I was listening to an interview with you a while back before you were starting to film Gladiator, and you were definitely a little concerned about how it might affect your life in terms of fame and everything else. So how is it now for you? How are you feeling about all that?
I mean, yesterday was pretty mad, but I won't probably have an answer on that until the dust settles on it all, you know? I think I can become fixated on it if I wanted to and drive myself mad, or I can try and enjoy this part of the ride for as much
Yeah.
as I can. I think I'm going to try and focus on that, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
the
you
next-
travel around a lot as well. I mean, they say about the Irish, we don't bother you as such. We might wave and say
Oh, it's
hi, but
fantastic.
have you
Like-
found that since you've been home?
I've found that, like, the last 2 days pretty extra. Like, I've never had this response to coming home before, but I also think, like, having been running around the world for a little bit, not just with Gladiator press, but just kind of in general, I didn't realize until I landed a couple of days ago how much I missed being home, because it kind of creeps up on you. Kind of the time that you spend away from home just kind of can keep
Yeah.
extending and extending, and I haven't been home for a while now.
Will you have a little downtime with friends and family? No?
Yesterday, I saw them
Is that
yesterday,
it?
but I'll see them next week in London, and then Christmas and New Year's is always a good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. You've obviously really enjoyed working with Ridley Scott. I'm hearing rumours you might work together again.
Yeah, that's the plan. That is the plan.
Can you tell us any more about it? Or
No.
Okay. What about going back to stage?
That's very much in the works in the near future.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's such a great pleasure to have you home. Wish you continued success,
Thank
and
you
thanks
very
for
much.
joining us
Thanks.
today. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
The odds are against you.
The odds are always against me.